everyone, and welcome to Trending in My Life. This is podcast 49, and this week I want to talk about how to balance it all. Whilst thinking about the title of this podcast, I was thinking balancing this, balancing that, how to balance one thing or another, and then I thought actually in life we have to balance it all. You know, we've got all these balls in the air and we're juggling them and trying to keep everything going. So yeah, how to balance it all. Right, so first of all, why do we need to balance it all? Well, mostly because much as there's this phrase all or nothing, in life you have to balance this with that. You have to balance your health with your ambition, your dreams with reality, your love, your life, your finances and your wants. There are so many things to balance. So let's start off with talking about dreams and reality. In life, it's really a good thing, a positive thing, a wonderful thing to have dreams and goals. A goal that you want to work towards, a dream that one day you'll be free from financial debt, that you will be in a place where you are comfortably well off financially, so you don't have to worry about your bills. That you're in nice surroundings. You may dream of owning a big house by a river. You may dream of being on the penthouse of a high rise with a swimming pool on the roof. You may dream of owning your own shop or store and having a thriving business that you enjoy talking to your customers, and eventually it will grow and you'll be able to put staff in to take over while you take a back seat and just enjoy popping in occasionally. Now, we have to balance that with our everyday reality. We may well be in a position where none of that can come true right now. And we have to get up in the morning, go to work, earn the money to pay the bills where we live at the moment. But you can still balance that so that you don't have to give up your dream. You can balance that by planning to save a little bit at a time, to work towards learning something that will get you in a better paid job, or interviewing for different jobs in a new field that you want to get into. So you balancing your dream, your goal, with the reality of working towards it, baby stepping your way there, not giving up, not seeing all the obstacles as stopping you, but seeing them as stepping stones that you will overcome and you will get there. It's just a balance between not living in the dream world where it's all, oh, well, it'll be wonderful when I get to that point, or if I get to that point. And let me stress, you should tell yourself when you get to that point. But yes, balance between dreams and reality is an important part of your life. Now, it'd be very easy for me to talk about work-home balance, because that's the one everybody thinks of when they think of balancing. But let's try a different one. Let's try love and life balance. When you're in a new relationship, the balance between your life and the person you're seeing is quite even. You know, you're still getting to know them and there's no sort of tipping of the balance in one direction. But when you're actually in love with somebody, you quite often want to spend all of your time with them. Never mind the rest of your life, never mind the work, and never mind meeting up with friends. You just want to focus on this one person. And there again, you have to come to some kind of balance, some kind of evening out, so that that seesaw isn't tipped all one way. For one thing, the person that you're in love with might feel it too overwhelming if you were there every minute of the day. Even in married couples or civil partnerships, people don't often want to spend every moment of the day with each other because they still want a life outside of that relationship, so that they have a career and they have friends and they have other things, and it's coming to a balance. And it's one of those things that in a relationship, when you're at that stage where it's all focused on the two of you, gradually over time you will get more used to being with each other and start to build that life away from each other whilst keeping that strong bond with each other. So there might be girls' night out once a week, or boys' night out once a week, or even once a month. There might be trips to your family which the partner doesn't want to be a part of because they're too busy at work that week. And it doesn't mean that your relationship is on the outs. It just means it's more balanced, so that your life can have all these elements in it, and each element can still coexist with each other. With finance has to be balanced with your wants, to the point where you have to draw back to say, well, do I really need that? To give you an example, you can walk down a high street of stores and you can look in the windows and you can say to yourself, oh, I quite like that, or I could do with one of those. And it's very similar when you're browsing on Amazon. You can do that. I frequently have a basket on my Amazon account with about 30 things in, which eventually I will never actually buy. But at the time, I wanted to save it in my basket just in case, and then gradually I put it in the save for laters. And that's what you have to be like when you're actually out and about, going into stores, walking down the street, looking in windows and seeing things. Now, I'm not saying you can't impulse buy occasionally. Occasionally it's quite good for people. But if you seriously can't afford what you're looking at, then you have to draw back from that. Have some balance so that you don't spend money that you haven't got or that needs to be spent somewhere else. I think that can be quite a tough one for people to balance, because sometimes what you see and want to buy is something for someone else, something you care about, and you think, I just splash out on this. And your sort of logic about do you really need it doesn't kick in, because you're giving yourself the excuse of, well, it's not for me anyway, I'm buying it for someone else. But if they don't particularly need it, if it'd be a nice surprise, but, don't go into debt just to give them a nice surprise, then they wouldn't approve of you doing that anyway. So yes, try and give yourself a balance with your finances and with what you want to buy. I quite often say to myself that I can get myself a treat when it's payday, the day of the month that I get paid. If I can then go and buy myself something that I've been putting off getting, that I've really wanted, or even to go to the stores and spontaneously buy myself something. But when it's payday, I can do that. And then later in the month, if I find the money isn't stretching to the end of the month, then I could make some adjustments in my other spending. Later in the month, I would have to account for various bills and invoices that need to be paid. I would need to make sure there was enough budget for food and services that the house needs. So it's important that I don't go spending every week on random things. So I'd say to myself, I have one treat on payday, and then that's it for the month. If you want something in between, you have to wait till that next payday. In that way, it helps me to budget my spontaneous spending on things. The other balance you have to do is health and leisure. Quite often people work very hard and don't allow themselves enough relaxation, leisure time. It doesn't all have to be sitting quietly, sleeping, napping, things like that, because your leisure time could be going to play squash with a friend. It could be playing soccer, just one match on a Sunday. It's just a form of relaxation that will then have a knock-on effect on your health. So if you use your leisure time for things that make you feel more healthy and are good for your health, then you have done that balance between the rest of the hard work and stress of the week into your health and leisure balance. And in a leisure balance, you could enjoy going out and eating food in big restaurants and lots of courses, and that could be that you spend your leisure time doing, that you enjoy doing, but at some time you have to balance that with your health, and that when you're eating those meals, you're making some adjustment and choices depending on your health. As you get older, you might need to be careful not to have too much sugar or salt or whatever, and then adjusting that leisure to have a balance with your health. Some people will go full tilt into sporting activities to the point where they might pull a muscle or have an injury from some sport, and then they have to pull back and rest and relax and allow that to recuperate. And that's a thing where your health side of the balance has to step up and be like, no, you can't do these things now, you have to rest. But if you look for some balance, you can then find some other activity that you can do that will help you rest and relax but keep your mind active. I think as a content creator, a lot of content creators are bad at the relaxation side of things because they're constantly coming up with ideas and filming or editing, and it's like a treadmill that they don't often step off of. And even for content creators, you need some time to relax and unwind. I've actually just stopped reading my Kindle before I started recording this. I'd edited a short earlier, I went out to a store, had a little walk, came back, read some Kindle, and then I've gone back to recording. So that because I'm doing this at the weekend, I have to make sure that my weekends aren't all working on my YouTube channel. And it's not that I don't enjoy it, because I hugely enjoy it, but that doesn't mean I don't need some balance between other things in my life. First thing this morning, I went out into the garden. I managed to fix the hose pipe, which if you listen to my podcast, you'll know has been an issue. And that's now fixed, and I was able to water the garden. And when I finished recording this, before I edit it, I'm going back out into the garden to water the garden for the evening. That's because it has been a very hot day, and I know my plants will be absolutely crying out for some water. But yes, it's important to have some balance. And is it easy to have this balance in your life? And where's the rule book on how we do it? We'll just have to figure it out as we go along, because that's what it's all about. And you will know yourself if your balance is wrong, because you'll be too tired, or you'll be grumpy, or you'll just feel stressed, or life isn't as enjoyable as you want it to be, and you can't see light at the end of the tunnel, that kind of thing. And that's when you need to stop and just start thinking about that. Just start thinking about, is my balance right at the moment? Are all the things sort of having evenness on the scale, or is it tipping all one way? And is that why I'm feeling grumpy? Is that why things aren't feeling right at the moment? And you need to think about whether you can tip the scales back so that they're more balanced. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast and that your balance is perfectly fine right now. And if not, I wish you the best of luck in getting it back that way. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and come back next time. Bye for now.